Welcome to Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abraham. You know my partner Albert Cameron. Albert, from time to time we like to do some special shows that are dealing with topics of the day or historical facts, but we really have one here because of last weekend, the Ohio State-Michigan game. They call them instant classics on TV. That's what it was.
Yeah, and anybody who's in this area is a gigantic Ohio State fan.
Oh.
And we mix in some Michigan fans. So that game is looked at more than any game all season. They can't wait for it to happen. And anybody who's going to watch this video, you're going to really love it because we're going to go through the historical games in this great rivalry between Michigan and Ohio State.
And let's talk about it going in to lay some groundwork. I remember we were on the radio about 10 years ago. Now, this has been a noon game forever, but it wasn't that year. And I remember saying to you, and you looked at me, you said, you know, this is supposed to be at noon. This is Bo and Woody. This game's supposed to be at noon.
Yeah.
Now, Fox shows their highlight game at noon, so it
worked out good this year,
yeah,
yes.
it will. And then next year with the Big Ten changing, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. You wouldn't want them to play last for the idea if they're the top two teams, they would play again the next week.
Yeah, they've already made that statement, I think, that there's not a sure thing.
No,
that kills me. That's what's, again, modern medicine is not the best medicine. That game should be the last game forever. That's what everybody looks forward to.
Oh, it is. No, you said it best. You said it that day. You said, it's supposed to be at noon. Bo and Woody, that is the game.
Yeah, and that's one of the games we'll talk about with the Bo and Woody.
Let's start way back. 1950. 9-3 Michigan. Blizzard, Central Ohio, which can happen. We've seen the opposite.
I've watched the game on YouTube.
And
Blizzard is the name of the game.
how
Blizzard.
many punts?
45 punts.
Come on, I mean, I can't.
Well, you understand.
11 a quarter.
It was hard getting the snap.
I see.
You know, let alone.
Okay.
No, because it's not one of those ones you think you could not see. It was total blizzard. Spectators could not see the field. No one knew what was going on. But that game was not the issue of the game. After the game was the issue of the game.
Tell them what happened, because in effect it ushered in the modern era of Ohio State football.
Yeah, when you're talking about Wes Fessler, until I saw this game previewed when we wrote the show up, you people out there, who's Wes Fessler? Can you tell me who it is?
Nope, but you know who replaced him.
Yes. After this game, he was fired, paving the way for the legendary Woody Hayes, and that was amazing.
Absolutely.
That I had no idea. I'll have to ask. I didn't look it up ahead of time. A few fans are watching. I'm kind of guessing he was on the staff already. I'm going to look it up. I want to find out if he was hired off the staff.
Tell you,
or is he at Miami, Ohio?
I have two Woody Hayes stories for you. One, we have a buddy whose brother played for him. Mike, his brother played for him at Ohio State. And two, I have another buddy who played for him when they first got rid of the wing T and were going to under center. This guy's 91 years old, and he played for Woody back in the day. He didn't last there. He only stayed like a year, but just the same.
The old side saddle T like
Yep. This is
State.
history, buddy. This is history. And like you said, I don't know who West was, but I know who Woody was.
Yeah, we all found out who Woody was.
How about the legendary Woody stories? There are 100, but the one about not buying the gas in Michigan is the all-time. He would not buy gas. Did they push it across? You think that's an old wives'
How
tale?
about the assistant coaches had to say, Coach, I don't want to push this car across the line.
Oh,
yeah, you are.
Oh, yeah, you are. We're not buying it there. No, seriously. Didn't they ask him one time when he went for two and he said...
That's a story in one of these games.
All right, that's in
one of these games, yes.
Now, another one in 1987, Earl Bruce.
Big name.
A legend.
Yeah. Fired 5 days before the biggest game. I've heard on the radio for this, going to this game, they interviewed Ohio State players who played in that game, still crying to this day how much they loved Earl Bruce.
No, they fired him the week before.
Yeah, think of that.
But now, knowing what I know now, I would, in my mind, think if I were a Michigan fan, I'd have been concerned. Because I think, you said they come out with headbands.
Oh, yeah, they had
headbands. They're going to
on.
rally for him. Because, like you said, they liked them.
Yeah, they rallied back from being down 13-0 and beat Michigan 23-20. By the way, that first game, Michigan won 9-3. Ohio State 23-20. Matt France became a hero in that game. Field goal in the waning moments. You know, people make their name, George, in these kind of games. You know, somebody at Ohio State, if I said Matt France, I said, oh, we bought for him for the last 20, you know. Yeah. Somebody in Seattle watching has no idea who Matt France is. But they know.
This game in Ann Arbor and Columbus, nothing
closed down.
Matters.
Well, my grandsons were watching the game with me, and they said, Papa.
Can they get it?
Papa, 100 something. I said, that's bigger than a town. Oh, no, a lot of cities don't have that many people.
State College, they have 108,000 on Saturday. That place is
so it said Michigan, Ohio State.
Now, let me ask you, like with a game like that, obviously it's everything. We've discussed this, and when we look at these other games, we'll go into more detail. Just a point-blank thing over here, talking about Fire and Earl Bruce brought this to mind. You've got a guy that's 1-3 versus Michigan, 40-0 against the others. How serious is that?
He's not getting fired.
Is it just fan talk?
No, it's real talk, but they won't pull this road. Now, next year if he loses, he's gone.
You know, I have a feeling next year at home that's turning around again.
He's gone.
You know that?
Well, I'm saying this, sir. If he doesn't win next year, he's gone. Mm-hmm. You cannot lose to Michigan 4 years in a row and keep your job at Ohio State.
Now, I have a real dilemma next year. You know my dilemma about I won't go in.
Yes.
And I'm looking at this thinking one quarterback's back, one's not, depending on who comes in. Naked eye tells me Ohio State's winning that.
Okay.
That's just, I have no knowledge of it, but I won't go into the street, so I'm going to have to lose. I have a problem because I have a rule. If the team has won so many in a row, I take them till they lose one. And it could have been like my buddy with a 54 Phillies. He could have lost his life. I don't want to be like that. Let's look at November 25, 95.
Michigan 31. Ohio State 23.
Bianca Batuka.
That name will bring legends to Michigan and make Ohio State fans throw up. Yards rushing in that game, 313 yards rushing. Not for the team.
Oh, no.
but by Timmy. And it cost Ohio State, you know what it cost them? Another chance for a national championship. See, Ohio State and Michigan, Ohio State more than Michigan. I really believe that. They think they should win the national championship.
Like when you take that job, like Ryan Day, the pay is commensurate.
And that's why he's devastated right now.
That's the deal. In other words, Al and I talked the other day, I said, I think maybe Penn State should step back and realize they're not. Mm-hmm. They won't step back.
No,
like Texas A&M. They don't know why they can't be what Texas is.
Right.
And Ohio State, they are the cream.
Yeah, they believe they should win the national championship.
Absolutely.
Right now, they're devastated. But more than devastated is Ryan Day. Ryan Day walked off that field. Looked like he lost his mom and dad on the same day.
Yeah, dog died.
Yes, I mean it was a sad commentary, but that was the first of several shots at a national championship that Michigan destroyed them. 31-23.
And Albert, wait a minute. We need to talk. Michigan's last natty is 30 years ago.
Yeah, they don't win it like Ohio State. That's what I said.
No,
that's why I said I know that. Michigan just wants to beat Ohio State, and then we'll take it from there and see what goes on.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Where Ohio State, that's part of
their MO, yeah.
And that's what I said to Al. We have a guy who calls our radio show, and he looked it up. The difference in 5 stars between Ohio State and Penn State.
Drastic difference.
Drastic.
Yes.
Now, I heard a guy say the other day, you may have heard this, that it might have been Mel Kiper or somebody of that ilk. They said that Michigan is going to have more guys drafted, like that one Georgia team, the one Miami team. They said that's how talented.
Well, that tells you why they're winning then.
Exactly. No, there's no fairy dust.
No.
There's no. Like you say, they run the same plays.
They really do.
You know what I mean?
They really do. It's the talent.
There's only so much you can do.
You have to block them. You have to tackle them.
We have a buddy, young kid that coached years ago. He was just starting out, and he said to me, about down in the goal line, and I said, listen, I said, Lon, I said, I'm going to make this easy for you. What, Coach? I said, it's not the play you run. It's who you give the ball to. And those guys were talking about the other day, not the X and O's, it's the Jimmy and Joe's. And it's an old statement, but guess what? It's true.
Usually that's what they do.
You get that boy Marvin Harrison the ball,
Yep, that's what
you're going to
happens.
win.
Yeah, that's the truth. November 23rd, 2002, Ohio State 14, Michigan 9. I remember watching this game. Unbelievable win for Ohio State. Will Allen, interception at the goal line to end it. Reserved a perfect record. And they weren't sure what was going to happen. Remember, Miami was tremendous. But Jim Tressel takes Ohio State into that with Maurice Claret.
And let's talk about Tressel a little bit. Knew the importance of the game. They gave him the job, and what was the first thing he said? How many days to Michigan?
Yes.
He knew that beating Michigan was item one.
Yeah, he was right on the Ohio State verdict. Listen, I don't want to care how many times you beat Purdue.
No.
I don't want to care.
No.
Do you beat Michigan?
350 some
That's
days.
every
till
day.
Michigan.
Every
and
day.
the other thing, I remember that game, the interception, which set it up. And I also remember the penalty in the national championship game. Miami was celebrating.
Never forget it. Come out late off at defensive interference. Yes, came out really late, but Ohio State won the national championship that year.
Let's talk about Tressel a little bit. Obviously, a legend in this area.
No, number one legend in this area.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, no question about it.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
But how about this? How valuable he realized the punt was in terms of something we don't hear much more, field position.
Yeah, that's out now.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, it's out. No, it's out.
If they're in the spread, they're in the shotgun, they're in the goal line.
There's two teams that do it. Iowa and the Steelers. They both say okay. And they both say, well, listen, if I have a choice of going for it on 4th and 3 or punting, they punt it. They punt it.
And Tressel, to Coach Tressel's defense, he used it as a weapon.
Oh yeah, his special teams and his defense were always outstanding. Always, yes.
Yeah, I remember that because I was thinking to myself, a lot of these people today, when I see them in the shotgun on 2, in the spread, I see the quarterback back at the 7, and I think to myself, that's not necessary.
There's a lot of pet peeves in my life, sports-wise. But if you're on the 3-inch line, it's without the even whatever that's called, a push touch or whatever.
Yeah.
I would have quarterback sneak 30 years ago without that rule. But they'll go back 5 yards and hand it back, and they have to get to the goal line from 5 yards instead of set 2 inches.
And some guy will break through the other side.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Grab them, and now you're at the 5, and you have to pass.
Doesn't make sense to me.
No, I agree.
November 23rd, 1991, a whooping. Yeah, remember the whooping, Ohio State fans?
You look at these scores, there are no whoopings. This is our first whooping.
Michigan 31, Ohio State 3, most lopsided for the Buckeyes.
Since 46.
Since 1946.
And I don't remember that one.
Wartime, huh?
I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Yeah. Gave up 3 touchdowns before halftime. There was a serious pose in that game, though, George. Yeah, that game and that place may have started what goes on today when they got the gyrations going every which way.
And here's the thing about Desmond Howard. I want to talk about that. I know he was, great player and this and that. I just thought Peyton Manning
should have won it that year, huh?
I did. I thought he was like, let me see if I can say this right, a prisoner of his own success. He was so good that people held him to a
standard, huh?
Yes.
Yep, Desmond comes away with the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, he's made a career out of it. He's
made a complete career out of it. Yes, he did.
He's still on the game day on ESPN 30 years later because of his fame.
Yep, 31-3. That was the whooping they took. And congratulations to our boy who won that award, Desmond. It made your life complete.
It's kind of like our coaching, setting up our retirement.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Very simple. He's turned that into, a career. And I watched him the other day. He's very controversial. I have to say this: that Michigan blood
and Ohio State blood.
Yeah,
it's not leaving.
No, I watched Woodson at the game with him. Now, you know, Farrell wins, you get excited.
Right.
You know, I check out Altoona's scores or whatever. Those two guys were going crazy after that
No,
game.
that's totally. That's a whole family. That Michigan family, that Ohio State family, is real. I mean, it's real. I hear Hawk and Carpenter talking. They start crying. I mean,
Yeah, I hear Hawk, and I know Bobby Carpenter's quite emotional when it comes to stuff like that.
Ohio State.
Now, with Ohio State, obviously, there's just an expected excellence. Same with Michigan. Remember years ago, the coach wanted to coach in the playoffs. Bo was the AD at the time, and it was Frieder.
Yes, it was.
And he said, Frieder said, well, you know, I'm going to coach the playoffs. Bo said, no, you're not. He said, a Michigan man will coach Michigan.
Right.
And they said, well, it's going to be expensive. He said, it doesn't matter.
No.
I remember like it was yesterday.
Yep, Michigan
A
is
Michigan man will coach Michigan.
Yeah, there was a lot of tears going on when Ohio State lost this past Saturday. Don't think they consider that their whole year in Ohio State, Michigan. November 26, 2016, Ohio State 30, Michigan 27.
Another one score. We've showed 6 games, 5 were one score.
And that was the first overtime, if you remember it. And on 4th and 1, J.T. Barrett, I still think he didn't make it. Jim Harbaugh was nuts about it. His exact quote, bitterly disappointed with the officiating.
Wasn't there a spot earlier?
That's the one I remember.
Okay.
That's the one I remember.
Seems to me that there was one earlier that he made, and they said no, and I thought it was worse, but I do remember this.
Yeah, I remember this one for sure. This is the one that he hit down. I thought he down like 3 or 4 inches before they put it down. But overtime. And you don't see many overtimes in Michigan-Ohio State game. No. That was the first overtime game. And, well, Harbaugh doesn't take things that easily when he thinks he got robbed by the referees.
No, that's another thing. We have to mention him. He's larger than life.
Yes.
Woody, Bo, larger than life. Ryan Day at some point. But right now, Harbaugh. Now, and I was thinking the other day, I forgot. He's missed 6 of the 12 games. I mean,
I know
the assistant has won as many games as he has.
He has. That's the truth.
Now, what are your thoughts on him real quick, and then we'll finish these. Where will he be next year? Will he be in the NFL?
He'll be in the NFL.
Because they're going to slap his hands.
He's going to be in the NFL.
They can slap him?
He'll beat the posse.
Pete Carroll stuff.
Yes, exactly. I think that's what's going to happen. I think him and Belichick both get jobs somewhere, but they both will be coaches.
Do you think they'll be going after the same job, maybe?
Probably. I think they both would want that. They'd want that Charger job.
You'd want it before the Bears.
They want that Charger job.
You know what's amazing? The Bears are getting Carolina's pick, and Carolina's going to be the stink.
Yeah, how about
They're
that?
going to be number 1. Now, we'll talk about being an Ohio State guy. Fields, would you get another quarterback?
No, I love Fields. Don't understand that. I don't understand it at all.
No reason at all.
No.
You do like the old Belichick where you gather in all
Fields
the
is
draft
good.
picks. He can run.
No, I can throw too. I think Fields is good.
No, he's not. Nothing wrong with him.
November 23rd, 1968.
I remember this one.
Ohio State 50, Michigan 14. This is where the George said the famous quote came from the legendary Woody Hayes.
Well, set it up. He scored a third touchdown in the quarter. Woody went for 2. What they say to Woody, what are you doing? Why'd you go for 2? Give him their answer.
Because I couldn't go for 3. Woody
Oh, my God.
was a war man. He studied wars. He studied history.
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy that lived with a double-fisted. And that also was a year that they didn't know who was going. And the athletic director sent Ohio State to the Rose Bowl. Now, remember, Rose Bowl was big then, George. Oh, it was gigantic then.
Yeah, it's one of the Final Four this year, by the way.
Is it? And it was only the year before that they voted that, hey, we're going to vote this in. Who
Remember
goes.
when they used to have the rule, who went last doesn't go?
Yes, and that's what they changed.
Yeah.
And that's what they changed. So Ohio State went again, even though they thought, oh, well, they wouldn't have. Let's put it out there. If the rule had not been changed,
Right.
Michigan would have went. Right. But Ohio State went and went on with a Rose Bowl victory. Ohio State 50, Michigan 14, November 23rd, 1968.
3 tutties the fourth quarter. So going into the fourth, that wasn't too bad.
No, not at all.
But, Woody wasn't going to take it. Hey, what's funny, a lot of people don't know what buddies they were. When Bo had his heart attack, Woody was the first guy to visit.
Yeah. Rivalry, they didn't talk during the year.
Yeah.
But afterwards, they did.
You had a buddy like that. The guy was in his wedding.
Yes.
And he called him up. He said, I can't talk to you again.
Hung up. Think about that.
No, that's different. That's
two high school coaches. There were two high school coaches.
Coaching will do it to you. Coaching, it can make you goofy.
It already has. I told you Ryan Day right now. You couldn't talk to him right now. He's so devastated you couldn't talk to him.
No.
November 24th, 1973, right in my heyday. Mike Lantry pulled his shank, however you want to say it, a 44-yard field goal attempt, wide right. Poor gentleman. Now he's my age.
And this is the rescinding of the no repeat rule. We should mention that.
Okay.
They rescinded that. Before, they had a rule that you couldn't go back if you were the last to go in a tie, and they rescinded that.
That was a good point, George.
Let's talk about that, though. It's one of my pet peeves in football. They act like a 44-yard field goal is like automatic. To me, I look how small those posts look from behind, and I don't have the nerve to run 3 plays into the line and try a 30-yard field goal when I might be able to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I thought.
Talk about that.
Well, I thought it happened Saturday. I called Mark Stanley about it. Ryan Day. There was 33 seconds left on the clock. 2 timeouts, 4th and 2, and he let the clock down to 2 seconds to try a 52-yard field goal. I said, "Wait a minute. I think you have I think you have a better chance than getting 4th and 2, and then scoring a touchdown, than kicking a 52-yard field goal." They missed it. Nobody's talked about that.
It could be a snap, be a hold,
and it's 52 yards. It's not like it's
not
20 yards.
I kid. If I was a coach, I'd have a bus ticket for the kicker, and I swear to God, if he missed more than one field goal,
in other words, he'd be kind of nervous. He'd be kind of nervous when he's kicking for you.
No, I will. I'm not talking about ruining your point guard.
Yes.
Ruining your quarterback.
That's what it said. The kid would be able to say, like,
you get one kicker. I think the kid make it. No, he's not making it. But I mean, like yesterday, who sends a guy out there in a rainstorm?
Right.
And he made it.
It's the truth. So that 10-10 game, I got mixed up with one in 1968 and 73. Though this one tied, and that's why they didn't know who to send, and they decided to send Ohio State to the Rose Bowl. November 18th, 2006, big game of the century, 42-39 Ohio State.
Another field goal. We've got to talk about this. Of all our games, we've had one that wasn't within a score.
That's why they're the biggest games of all time.
Absolutely.
Well, this one was when they bet number 1 and number 2. That hasn't happened. Number 1 and number 2 in the polls they played that year. They called it an instant classic. Coach Schembecker had died.
What, the day before?
Yeah, yes.
He had done a radio show or something. I did some reading on that. He had gone somewhere and done some type of, and he was fine. The next day he passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Troy Smith became a Ohio State legend as he won the Heisman Trophy that year. And everybody remembers, what was your record when you were at Ohio State against Michigan? Well, he was 3-0. So when he goes into Columbus, hey, they're all over Troy.
I got you dinner.
Yes, and that's why Ryan Day is not going to, if he loses next year, that's why he's getting fired. Because you can't have your recruiting class come into Ohio State.
You never
beat Michigan.
We're going to talk about that. When we're done with our last game, I want to do an overview of this because I have some thoughts on that. And I know you're accurate in what you're saying, but it's still in my mind, it's hard to come to terms with the fact that this man is 40-0.
I know.
It is, and you know what? Normally, it's like, you know what fan talk is. Yes. I should have passed. I should run.
Right.
He had the goal line. Like for example, let's do this last one because I want to talk about that fan stuff because it happened the other day. they wanted to hire Stoops down in A&M.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
This.
We'll
November 22nd, 1969. This set off the 10-year war. If you want to look it up, look up, because now this pitted Hayes against Schembechler. This was my Rex Kern days. He was my favorite quarterback of all time. It was the days when they were just whooping teams up with Jack Tatum's crew on defense. And
22-game win streak.
Yes,
right?
And nobody thought Michigan would win this game. No one thought.
No, they only gave up 69 points in 9 games.
Yes, and here comes Michigan, 24-12. Ohio State, 7 turnovers.
I don't care if you're playing.
And the words they used was a stunning upset. It was at the time. I sat in front of that TV thinking, I'm not seeing this. Is my Rex. This is my team.
Rex Kern.
I know, and
that was Bo's first.
It was.
Win against his mentor.
Yeah, it was
he was his mentor.
No, and that's what became a rivalry of all time.
Then it was on then.
Schembechler
right?
and Hayes. Yeah. That's what it became, and I was right in the middle of my life there as a 15-year-old.
27, 63. That was
everything to me. It was everything to me. 12 o'clock, you said.
12 o'clock.
And they weren't passing the ball. You understand? When these two teams played,
no,
it was.
No.
I mean, they were killing each other.
No, absolutely. Now, we have a few minutes left. I just want to talk about this as an overview, bringing up to today's time. You saw the game Saturday. All our viewers that care about sports saw the game. I still have trouble.
Well, I know you said that.
But you've mentioned before, Cooper Loop. How many times John Cooper?
Yeah, they don't really care if you get upset by Purdue or get upset by Indiana.
Urban Meyer, they had a list
of
all the games they lost.
Oh yeah, they've been upset.
Yeah,
they don't care about
but
those.
Guess what? It wasn't Michigan.
They don't care about those. You have to beat Michigan, and I can see it. I saw it in Farrell Sharon when I played. If we lost to Sharon 7 times in a row, that coach, it was high school and he was getting fired. I mean, you had no win. Did Altoona have any rivals like that?
John.
Okay. Well, if he lost to Johnstown 7 times in a row.
No, he went 8-2 once one year. They put a for sale sign on. Now, someone was being smart.
Because he lost to Johnstown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So multiply that by millions. Yeah, Ohio State, Michigan. That's the only game that counts. And going into the season, you have to be surprised beyond belief if you didn't think they were playing for the championship.
No, we said no.
I mean, it's an automatic coming in.
We looked at that schedule and we said, Penn State has 2 games. Ohio State.
And that's why they're after Frank. He knows they win every other game.
Games. Ohio State does.
That's it.
And Michigan has to have 1 game against each other. And we looked and we said, and I thought because it was at Michigan, they could. I mean, I did. I wasn't surprised. But that game could.
Oh,
like you said, it could have gone to the other way. They got that ball back. It's just enough time. But I'll still say this. I know the fans, the alums, get him out of. But this is accurate. If he loses next year at home, despite being 40-0 against the others,
he's gone.
He's gone.
For sure. I don't even have. He's been called in already saying, listen, you don't win to beat Michigan next year.
That's like Army-Navy.
You're gone.
We thought that.
He saved his job. He did. He did save his job.
But in this game, it's just incredible. Well, I hope people enjoyed.
I don't know if there's any other games out there that you want to add to the thought, but these were our top games, and we didn't include this year's. That would make it 11. And
there were only 2 that weren't one sport.
Right. So close.
Hey, thanks again for watching Bottom Line Sports Talk. We'll see you next week.